When he opened the door, she was already there, the woman he thought he'd never see again. Older, graceful, and trembling with everything left unsaid between them. What began as a forbidden spark years ago now flickers back to life in the quiet tension of her return. Every look, every silence pulls them closer to a line neither can resist crossing. But behind every touch lies guilt, regret, and a secret that could ruin them both. This isn't a story about perfection, it's about two people who waited too long to tell the truth, and finally stopped pretending. I opened the door, and she was there, framed by the fading gold of evening light, her shadow spilling across my floor like she'd been standing there forever, just waiting for me to notice. She didn't smile right away. Just stood there, one hand still on the railing, the other clutching the edge of her coat as if she'd changed her mind a dozen times before knocking. Her hair was slightly wind-tossed, a soft chestnut halo around her face. For a second, I forgot to breathe. "Don't pretend you don't want me here," she said. Her voice wasn't teasing, it was quiet, low, like she was daring me to lie. I didn't. I couldn't. I stopped pretending a long time ago. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It felt alive, like the pause before rain, like the air when two storms meet. She stepped closer. The faint scent of jasmine and rain clung to her. I caught a glimpse of the small scar near her lip, one I'd noticed years ago but never asked about. Back then, she was my teacher, my unreachable thought. Now she stood in my doorway, older, softer somehow, but more dangerous than ever. "You shouldn't have opened the door," she whispered. "I think you knew I would." Her laugh was short, unsteady. "You always did listen too carefully." The lamp behind me cast a pale glow, catching the curve of her neck, the line of her collarbone beneath the open edge of her coat. I could see the hesitation in her eyes, the kind that lives between memory and impulse. "I didn't come here for this," she said, though her body betrayed her words, her fingers brushing the doorframe, then drifting closer, until the tip of one grazed my hand. "You didn't?" I asked. Her hand lingered there, not holding, not pulling away either. "Just staying. I came to see if it still mattered," she murmured. "If you still—" She stopped herself. The warmth of her skin burned through me, quiet but relentless. The years between us folded, the air thinned. Every heartbeat felt too loud. I wanted to ask what she meant. I wanted to tell her how many nights I'd replayed the way she used to look past me, like she saw something in me I wasn't ready to understand. But words felt useless. Instead, I said, "You already know the answer." Her eyes flicked up to meet mine. The look there, regret, longing, something else either of us could name, pinned me to the spot. "You shouldn't say things like that," she said softly. "Not to me." "Then stop coming back," I replied. For a moment, she looked like she might leave, turn around and vanish down the hallway like she'd done before. But her hand was still there, fingertips tracing the edge of my wrist, the same rhythm as a breath caught halfway through confession. "You think I can?" she asked. The question wasn't meant for me. It was for herself, the kind of truth you say out loud only when you're already in too deep. The air between us pulsed. I could hear her breathing, feel the nearness of her, the quiet pull that had never really faded. Then, suddenly, there was a sound, a knock echoing from the stairwell below. She flinched, just slightly. Her eyes darted toward the noise, then back to me, caught between leaving and staying. "Don't open it," she whispered. I didn't move. The knock came again, louder this time, and for one suspended heartbeat, everything we'd been holding back trembled in the silence. Then she stepped closer, her voice barely a breath against my ear. "Next time," she said, "don't wait for me to knock." And before I could answer, she was gone. The door was still open. So was everything else. It had been 3 days since she'd left my doorway, and still, every sound made me look up. Every time someone walked past my apartment, I expected it to be her. She didn't come. But on the 4th night she did. No knock this time, just the soft creak of the door, half open, her silhouette caught in the low amber glow of the hall light. I told you not to wait for me to knock, she said, her tone half reproach, half something else, something quieter, like she was afraid of being heard by her own heart. I smiled before I could stop myself. And yet you came anyway. She walked in without asking, closing the door behind her. I noticed the faint tremor in her hand when she let go of the handle. There was something about her tonight, tired maybe, or worn thin by whatever had driven her back here. I shouldn't be here, she said. I know. But you're not going to ask me to leave, are you? I never do. The words hung between us, heavy and warm. She set her bag down, took off her coat. Beneath it, a simple black dress clung to her like memory. Her hair was slightly damp, a trace of rainwater running down her temple. You still keep that record player? She asked, glancing toward the corner of the room. It's the same one. You gave it to me. Her lips curved faintly. You were what, 20 then? 21. You said I needed to listen to something older than myself? Her laugh was soft, broken halfway through. You did listen. I still do. The air thickened as the record spun. Billie Holiday filled the silence, slow, aching, unfixable. She turned toward the window, arms folded. People would talk, you know, she said quietly. If they saw me here. Would that matter to you? It should, she said. But no. She didn't turn around right away, and I didn't move closer, not until her shoulders eased, and I caught the smallest exhale, like she'd been holding her breath for years. When I reached out, my fingers brushed the back of her arm. Just once. Barely a touch. She froze, then, instead of pulling away, let her hand fall to mine. Her skin was cool, her pulse unsteady. You make it sound simple, she said. Like none of this costs anything. It already cost me, I said. Back then. Her gaze met mine, sharp, searching. You were just a boy. I'm not anymore. That silenced her. The kind of silence that rearranges everything inside it. Her fingers tightened, just slightly. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her breath against my neck, the faint brush of her sleeve against my chest. Either of us spoke. The song faded. The needle lifted. And for a single, trembling second, the space between us disappeared. Not a kiss. Not yet. Just a stillness so full it might as well have been one. She came again the next evening, unannounced, as if the distance between wanting and acting had finally thinned to nothing. The rain hadn't stopped all day. Her hair was wet again, drops clinging to her collar, her breath clouding in the cool air. I handed her a towel, but she didn't take it right away. Her eyes lingered on mine, the same quiet dare, the same exhaustion from pretending this was nothing. You shouldn't keep letting me in, she said, voice low. You shouldn't keep coming back, I answered. We both knew either of us meant it. She finally took the towel, brushing her fingers against mine. That tiny, accidental contact burned through me more than it should have. The room was warm, the space between us wasn't. You haven't changed, she murmured, almost smiling. Still too sincere for your own good. And you, I said, still pretending you don't feel anything. That broke her gaze. She turned toward the window, watching the lights blur through the rain. The music still played softly, the same record, like a memory looping itself into confession. I don't know what you think this is, she said. But whatever it is, it can't survive daylight. You came at night for a reason. Her breath hitched, barely audible. Then a knock. Sharp. Sudden. We froze. A voice followed, muffled through the door. Hey man, you left your notebook at the cafe. My chest tightened. My friend. Of all times. She looked at me, alarm flickering across her face, quickly smoothed into composure. I motioned for her to stay quiet and slipped to the door, opening it just a few inches. Sorry, yeah, thanks, I said too quickly, taking the notebook. My friend glanced past me. Everything okay? Thought I heard music. I interrupted. Just the record. He hesitated. Right. Okay. See you tomorrow? The moment the door closed, the silence in the room felt heavier than before, like something fragile had been nearly exposed. She was standing by the bookshelf now, one hand pressed against her chest, as if to steady herself. That, she said quietly, is exactly what I was afraid of. Afraid of being seen? No. Her eyes met mine, steady, luminous. Afraid of wanting to be. I stepped closer without thinking. Every part of me knew I should stop, but her presence made restraint feel like cruelty. Her breath came shallow. Her hand brushed my wrist, just the ghost of a touch, and stayed there. If anyone found out, she whispered, they'd never understand. Then don't explain it, I said. She shook her head, lips parting as if to argue, but no sound came. The air between us changed again, heavy, magnetic, inevitable. My fingers lifted, barely grazing the side of her face, tracing a drop of water from her temple to her jaw. Her eyes closed. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to that single point of contact, warmth, closeness, everything unsaid. Then, just before our lips could meet, she exhaled, a soft, trembling sound that felt like surrender and apology at once. We can't, she breathed. But she didn't move away. Neither did I. We stood there, impossibly close, holding still, the distance between our mouths smaller than a word, until the record crackled, and the silence felt too much like truth. And that's when I realized, resisting her wasn't saving either of us. It was only making us fall slower. It was late when she came again, past midnight. No rain this time, only the kind of stillness that makes the air hum. She didn't knock. The door creaked open, and there she was, eyes red-rimmed, breath uneven, like she'd been running or crying or both. Are you alone? She asked. Yes. Her shoulders dropped, a slow exhale like she'd been holding that question for hours. Then, without another word, she stepped inside and closed the door behind her. I noticed a tremor in her hands. What happened? She shook her head, eyes wet. I can't keep doing this. Pretending it's nothing. She started pacing, her coat still on, her fingers fumbling with the belt. It's wrong, you know that. I'm old enough to stop, I said gently. But she didn't. People will talk. They already do. They say I stayed too long after class, that I favored you, did you? That stopped her. She looked up sharply, the question hanging between us like a blade. Her silence was the answer. I moved closer. Slowly, like the space itself might shatter. Then don't tell me this doesn't matter. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I reached up, barely brushing a lock of hair from her face. She closed her eyes, her breath catching when my fingers lingered too long against her cheek. You shouldn't look at me like that, she whispered. Then stop giving me reasons to. Her eyes opened, wide, desperate, undone. You don't know what this would cost me. Then let me pay something too. She laughed then, not from humor, but disbelief. A soft, trembling sound that cracked halfway through. You think this is love? I don't know what it is, I said. But it's the only thing that feels real. That broke something in her. She turned away, hands pressed to her temples, whispering to herself more than to me. I can't want this. I can't. I stepped behind her. Close enough to feel the heat rising from her skin. Close enough to smell the faint trace of her perfume, jasmine and something warmer, something human. Then tell me to stop, I murmured. She didn't. Instead, she leaned back, just slightly, until her shoulders touched my chest. The smallest contact, yet it felt like the air had been set on fire. My hand rose, hovering near her arm, then resting against it, light, uncertain. You're trembling, I said. So are you, she whispered. The sound of her voice, that low breath near my ear, nearly undid me. Her head tilted back, just enough that our faces were inches apart. I could see the faint quiver of her lip, the way her eyes flicked between my mouth and my gaze. Say it, I breathed. She swallowed hard. If I do, we can't go back. Then don't, I said. Not this time. For a heartbeat, she hovered there, eyes closing, body leaning in, and I could feel the world narrowing to a single, inevitable moment. Then, a vibration broke it. Her phone, buzzing sharp and cruel on the table. We both froze. Her breath hitched. She pulled away, whispering, "It's my husband." The words landed like thunder in a silent room. And before I could move, she reached for the phone, but her hand stopped halfway. She looked at me, trembling, torn between guilt and something far deeper. Then she whispered, "Don't make me answer it." And this time, neither of us moved. The phone kept vibrating on the table, once, twice, 3 times, until she silenced it with the back of her trembling hand. Neither of us spoke. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. The faint light from the kitchen caught the edge of her jaw, the glint of her wedding band, the reminder of the world she still belonged to. Then she said it quietly. "He knows." The words cracked the air open. I froze. "Knows what?" "That I've been here. That I've seen you." My stomach tightened. "How?" She let out a shaky breath. "He read my messages." I blinked. "Messages?" Her throat worked before she answered. "The ones I never sent. Drafts in my phone? To you?" I stared at her. "You wrote to me?" She nodded. "Every night. I'd start a message, then delete it before morning. He must have found them." My chest felt hollow. "What did you say?" She smiled, small, defeated. "Everything I wasn't supposed to." Her words hung there like the scent of rain after lightning, impossible to ignore, impossible to name. When I stepped closer, she flinched, not away, just enough that I could see the fear ripple through her. "He confronted me tonight," she continued. "Asked why I still talk about you like you never left." Her voice broke, barely audible. "I told him it was harmless. That you were just someone I used to teach. He didn't believe me. My pulse was loud in my ears." "You lied for me." She looked up sharply. "No, I lied for us." The air changed then. The distance between us felt charged again, but heavier this time, like guilt and desire were 2 halves of the same heartbeat. I moved closer slowly, until I could see the tremor in her lips, the way her chest rose too fast. "You didn't have to protect me." She shook her head, whispering, "Don't you see? It's not about protecting you. It's about not being ready to lose what you make me feel." Her voice cracked on the last word. Something inside me broke open. I reached up, touching her cheek with my fingertips, tracing the trail of one tear before it could fall. She didn't pull away this time. She leaned into it, just slightly, her breath brushing my palm. "You shouldn't," she murmured. "I already did," I said. Her eyes softened, wide and wet, and in that small space between us, where honesty had nowhere left to hide, everything shifted. She stepped closer, her body brushing mine as she reached past me for her coat. The faint friction of fabric, the scent of her hair, it all felt deliberate, cruel in its softness. "I have to leave before it gets worse," she whispered. "You think walking away will fix it?" She paused at the door, turning back, her face caught in the half-light. "No," she said. "I think it'll make it impossible to stop." And just before she left, she looked at me one last time, voice trembling but clear. "He wasn't wrong, you know," she said. "You were never just a student." Then she was gone, leaving the door half open, and the truth still echoing in the space she left behind. The next time she came, she didn't speak. Just stood there in the doorway, her eyes glassy from something that had already broken inside her. I didn't ask why. I just stepped aside and let her in. She walked past me in silence, the air between us dense and trembling. Her hands were bare tonight, no ring, no coat, just her, stripped down to what was left after all the pretending. The faint scent of rain followed her again, the one I'd begun to associate with every wrong decision that somehow still felt right. "Does he know you're here?" I asked quietly. She shook her head. "He thinks I went for a walk." Her voice was small, almost detached. But when I looked at her, really looked, I saw everything she wasn't saying. The fight, the sleepless nights, the ache of what she was about to do. I stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat radiating from her. Then why did you come? She looked up, her lips parting, eyes unfocused like she was afraid to hear herself say it. Because I'm tired of pretending this doesn't exist. I swallowed hard. And if it ruins everything? Then it ruins everything, she said. That was the moment something inside both of us gave way. She moved first, one step, then another, until the distance between us dissolved into breath and heartbeat. My hand lifted almost without thought, tracing the side of her neck, the pulse there fluttering beneath my fingertips. You don't have to. I started. I already did, she whispered. The words stole the air. She reached up, her fingers curling into the fabric of my shirt. The room felt smaller, the silence louder. Her forehead rested against mine, both of us breathing unevenly, either willing to move further or pull away. Her voice broke against my skin. This shouldn't be happening. Then stop me, I whispered. But she didn't. She just closed her eyes, a soft surrender, not to me, but to everything she'd been denying. I brushed a strand of hair from her face, my thumb lingering near her lips. For a second, the world went utterly still, the hum of the lamp, the faint hiss of wind outside, all vanishing beneath the gravity of that moment. Then she whispered, barely audible. If you kiss me now, I won't go back. My voice came out rough. Maybe you don't need to. Her breath trembled. You don't understand. I've spent half my life holding myself together. And the other half, wanting to stop. Our eyes met, and I knew then that whatever happened next would rewrite everything that came before. So I said nothing. Neither did she. We just stood there, inches apart, caught between guilt and inevitability, until her hand slid to my cheek, her thumb tracing the edge of my jaw. Her lips hovered near mine, her whisper breaking in the quiet. Then let it ruin me! And as her breath touched my mouth, everything else finally fell away. They say clarity comes in the moment before something irreversible. For us, it came right after, when silence felt like truth, and touch felt like choice. Morning came slow. The kind of quiet dawn that doesn't feel real, where the air hangs still, heavy with everything that finally happened and everything that can't be undone. The rain had stopped. Light slipped through the blinds, falling across the room in soft, uneven stripes. She was sitting by the window, hair loose, wrapped in one of my shirts. Her bare feet rested against the wooden floor, her hands curled around a cup of coffee she hadn't touched. I watched her in silence. For the first time, she didn't look like someone running. She looked still. Tired, yes, but peaceful, in a way I'd never seen before. You're staring, she said, her voice low but steady. I'm trying to remember this, I admitted. She smiled faintly. You think I'll disappear? I used to think you always would. That made her laugh softly, not the careful kind, but the kind that trembles at the edges. Do you regret it? I asked. Her fingers tightened around the mug. No, she said. But I'm scared of what comes next. I moved closer, sitting beside her on the small couch. For a long time, we didn't speak. The only sound was the quiet hum of the world outside, traffic, wind, the slow rhythm of two people trying to learn what stillness feels like after chaos. Finally, I reached for her hand. She didn't hesitate this time. Our fingers interlaced, hers warm, mine shaking a little. You know, she whispered, when I first met you, you were all potential. I told myself you'd forget me once you found your own life. And I told myself you'd never look at me the way you do now. She leaned her head against my shoulder, exhaling a quiet laugh. We were both wrong. Her body softened against mine, not in passion but in peace. A slow surrender that felt like coming home after years of pretending there wasn't one. Outside, a light wind stirred the curtains. She lifted her face toward me, eyes calm now, unguarded. I can't promise it'll be easy, she said. I don't want easy, I said. I just want honest. For a moment neither of us moved. Then she reached up, tracing the line of my jaw with her fingertips, gentle, deliberate, grounding. Her lips brushed my forehead, not a kiss of desire, but one of recognition. A quiet acknowledgement that whatever rules we'd broken, whatever lines we'd crossed, this was real. I spent so long hiding from the parts of myself that wanted, she said softly. But you didn't just want me. You saw me. I met her gaze, steady now, unshaken. And you made me stop pretending. The light deepened, wrapping around us like forgiveness. We stayed that way, her hand in mine, our breaths sinking, the morning sun warming everything that used to hurt. No more running. No more pretending. Just this. Just us.